Hello everybody, this is Bill the Adjuster with a tough tip for you today. We're calling it Crack the Code. I don't mean that code. I don't mean the Geraldo open the safe and find out nothing's in there. I mean code coverage. One of the biggest things of today's building is regulations. Regulations come into play for really good reasons. Some of the reasons are kind of stunning. Like a kitchen island has to have an outlet. And everyone used to say, why does it have to have an outlet? Well, because if you put a griddle on the kitchen island and you had to run the extension cord across to the backsplash on the other side, somebody runs around, runs into the cord, knocks over the griddle, gets burnt, causes fire, or, injury. Codes are there for a reason. The problem is when you have an insurance claim and a loss, your house may not be to code. Well, most likely it has to be rebuilt to code. Your policy covers for what you had, maybe not what you need, unless you have code coverage, which pays the increased cost to do the repairs, including what is now required by the governing building code on your property. So it may be known as ordinance and law or code coverage, increased cost of compliance. There's some various words for it. It's usually a percentage of your coverage. 10 or 20% of the coverage of your house may be allocated towards paying for this increased rebuild. It's a very valuable coverage. It's really inexpensive, but it can provide $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in additional payments, especially if your property is older and the building codes have changed since then. Almost all repairs today have some form of code element to them, meaning now you have to do it this way. Now you got to do it this way. Again, government comes in for great reasons, but you don't feel real great about those reasons when you need to rebuild your house. Your contractor may actually have to put it back to code. So you could say, oh, I don't want to do it that way, but guess what? The rules say they may have to be built exactly the way it's stated today, which again, that cost would be on you if you don't have this coverage. So it's very inexpensive, provides a great deal of coverage for a great deal of losses. Roofing, siding, insulation, electric, they're the big ones. So, big dollars that will have to be spent if you don't have the coverage. Make sure you have it. Again, I've seen losses where the entire roofing system has to get replaced because the rafters weren't at today's code. It was $50,000. Fortunately, they had $46,000 in code coverage, so it didn't cost all that much. But can you imagine a whole $50,000 and all they got was a little bit thicker rafter, so no real improvement to their home. Roofing is one of the larger elements that really contain a lot of building code changes. So you're going to have to deal with water and ice shield and insulation requirements, wind requirements, but roofing tends to be a big loss element. So when roofs are involved in, almost half of all wind-related losses have a roofing component, almost half of all losses, you should have code coverage. Siding is the same thing. Most of it goes to wind, resistance, insulation, and vapor barriers. If you live in the Northeast, you'll probably be aware of the stucco issues. Again, codes have changed for the good. The codes are there to protect you in the future, but if you have a loss to your exterior roof or siding, you're probably going to be in that world. Insulation, they just say keep making it thicker and stronger to burn less fossil fuel. Makes a lot of sense, but when you have a loss, you may end up having to really beef up that insulation. And electrical, probably the biggest technical code changes come in the electrical code, and these are there for mostly fire and safety reasons. Electrical code can be very difficult, but electricians are fully aware of it. Again, if it hits you on a loss, you're going to end up spending a lot of money to get the property brought up to current code, and it may involve bringing up rooms that weren't damaged. So even some code coverage may not extend that far. So depending on your policy, I hope you have great code coverage, and I hope this helped you crack the code. Again, I'm Bill the Adjuster. I really appreciate giving you these tips. Hopefully you enjoy it. Please shoot a direct message to me at smartclaim@metropa.com. I'd be glad to put your personal question on the tip as well. Thanks very much, everybody.